Hi there, I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent Training. Welcome to our live Friday question and answer class, where you can ask questions about American accent, American English pronunciation, intonation, anything you need help with to improve your personal and professional communication in American English. Thank you to all of you who have made suggestions and requests for our Word of the Day series. We've been meeting now for, I think, close to 75 days every day with a new word and breaking it down, looking at how to pronounce it correctly. And you've had some really wonderful suggestions. So I thank you for those. We'll be back again tomorrow with that, a new Word of the Day class. I wanted to start today by honoring a request. So I've been doing a few polls on Facebook as well as on our community page, asking you what you'd like to see more of. And many people have told me they have difficulty in longer sentences, in fluent speech, and also they'd like to see more about our Real Talk series, which is looking at how written words differ from spoken speech. So that's what we'll start with today. You can ask your questions at any time in the comments, and I'll be going through and answering those live. As we get started, let's take a look at a few ordinary everyday phrases, and I've written them out so we can look at the written words, but we're going to talk about how Americans actually say these phrases. So for example, we have the phrase, "What is he doing?" You can hear how if I say that one word at a time, it sounds choppy, it doesn't sound very natural. I might be correctly pronouncing all of the sounds in those words, but it doesn't sound fluent. So in this phrase, "what is he doing?" Americans will typically, rather than saying, "what is he doing?" they'd say, "what's he doing?" So it sounds more like what's, contraction. The only time I would say, "what is he doing?" is if I would be stressing is, saying, "what is he doing?" trying to highlight, I don't know what he is doing. He's mentioned that he's doing something. Otherwise, I would say, "what's he doing?" because I would be stressing the word doing. And then another reduction that happens here, besides the contraction from what is to what's, is that often we leave the H off on words like he and her and him, and we connect it to the next word, or the previous word. So rather than what's he doing, I can say that's correct, but you'll often hear Americans just say, what's he doing? What's he doing? That's because the he and the is and the what are much less important. They're quicker and reduced, and the stress in this phrase falls on doing. Keeping in mind that intonation is also useful to pay attention to, I'm going to mark that for you. So the sounds are, what's he doing? The speed is fast and then slow, da-da-da-da, what's he doing? What's he doing? And the pitch is going to be like this. What's he doing? I'm going to rise up on the do and fall off on the ing. So that's one way to visualize what's happening there in the fluent speech. Now let's look at the phrase, is he busy? Similarly, I'm going to have my reduction where I drop off my H sound and I link it to the word is. I'm going to rewrite this one with Z sounds because even though this is spelled with letter S, is has the voiced Z sound at the end. And if I write it this way, izzy, I'm going to say it quickly and linked together the way Americans would say it. And then busy rhymes with izzy. Is he busy? And so I'm going to be short, short, long, short. That's my rhythm, my pitch, because this one is a question, but I have the question word. I use arise and fall for my question. This is called a yes-no question. There's no question word. It starts with the verb, and my answer could be yes or no. In this case, I have to rise up on the stressed syllable instead of falling off. So it sounds like, is he busy? Busy? My main rise is here where my stress is, and then I have a secondary rise to finish. Is he busy? Then lastly, let's look at he is going for a walk. Here I do say my H sound because my sentence starts with he's going. And I'm going to use a contraction again, so it'll sound like he's. I might want to rewrite that like that, if I have trouble with my Z sound, he's going for a walk. My main stress is on at the end of the phrase, walk. Going is going to have secondary stress. He's going for a walk. So going, I'm not going to make any changes to. For a walk is very quick. And if I say this word for by itself, I'll use the or. But when in connected speech, I often reduce that or down to an So it'll sound like for. He's going for a walk, for a. So I might even write that this way, for a, or for a, to get the correct pronunciation. He's going for a walk, for a. Great. So my rhythm, he's going for a walk, short, short, long. And it's a statement, so I'm going to rise up in pitch on the stress word and fall off. That all happens on the word walk here, so I need plenty of length on walk. He's going for a walk. He's going for a walk. Okay, so I wanted to just demonstrate in my Real Talk videos and in my intonation playlist, I often try to give you visuals to represent what's happening in terms of pitch and duration, so you know how to follow along. The main thing that you want to work on is paying attention to those changes and reductions, rewriting words in a way that helps you pronounce them correctly and smoothly and fluently, and using your ear to imitate. I do have some videos that show you how to slow down YouTube videos, and I often recommend if you use the settings and you put it on 75%, you can hear those sounds more clearly because your brain is going to argue with you. It's going to say, no, it's for, not for a. When I slow it down, I can hear he's going for a walk. But I can still hear how it sounds fairly naturally if it says 75%. So I do have a video showing you that and some other tips for how to use YouTube for practice. You can always slow down any of my videos. I have gotten feedback. I know I speak quickly, and I myself am working on improving my speech in my professional communication and making sure I go slowly enough for you to understand me. But you can use even on, I think probably not on the live videos, but when you're watching this as a replay, you can slow it down and hear those connections to help you with the fluent speech and the real talk. So thanks for bearing with me for that little lesson. I kind of wanted to share and acknowledge the recent requests for what you'd like to see more of. I will be continuing to make more additional videos in addition to our live classes, and I take your requests for that as well. So let's take a look at some of our questions and comments. So yes, I think I have somebody even requesting that I slow down right now. I will try to do that. Dana would like to know, Dana's question is, how do you pronounce the words brochure and financier? Okay, brochure, let's start with that. Is the CH in brochure says the SH sound. That one's not in that great of shape. So let's start with the spelling. Brochure. So in this case, I would rewrite it with the SH sound. And we have the long diphthong O, brochure. And we have second syllable stress, brochure. So you're thinking about this having an sound, bro, like hey bro, and this sure is the same as the word sure, which I could rewrite with an SH if that helps me, brochure. Financier, I think financier is like finance with an ear at the end, financier. So one who finances. Third syllable stress, so short, short, long. So I would write it like nan, and then sear, like I'm going to sear meat, or sear like that, if that helps you with the spelling. Financier. Good question. So yes, those are challenging words. And we have another question, which is, Related to my is he busy, it was asked whether the sound of U is eliminated in busy. So even though it's spelled with letter U, the way the word busy is pronounced, the vowel sound in busy is vowel I, busy. So that's similar to the word business. Usually this vowel I, the pink pig vowel, is spelled with letter I. That's the most common spelling for it in words like did and different. But sometimes it's spelled with U, like in busy and business. It's also spelled in one case with EE in the word bin in American English. So in American English, the word bin and the word bin, like the garbage bin, have different spelling but the same pronunciation. They're both vowel I. So even though in Izzy Busy, some of the sounds were reduced or changed, busy, the pronunciation of that word didn't change. It's just happens to be the letter U saying the sound I. Good question. Thank you. I do think we've had a request for the word business in our Word of the Day series, so that'll be coming up sometime in the next few weeks. And we have quite a long list of requests now, so I'll be getting to those. Please be patient. If you've asked me for a word, it may take a little while. I'm trying to do them now in the order that they were requested. Another question or request, the words million and Australia. So let's start with the word million. Million. There's another vowel I in the first syllable stress, and million, just basically two syllables there. So the first part just sounds like the word mill, and then the yun in this word has the y sound and a vowel schwa and an n. So in IPA, it would look like this. Million. I would probably write it like this. Million. Vowel schwa sounding like and the li makes the glide ya sound. Million. Then your second word was Australia. Australia. So that sounds like aw, vowel aw in the beginning. I'm going to rewrite that, like in the word law or caught. Aw. Strail. It's like this, the ale, the word trail. That has vowel diphthong a, hold that long, Australia. And then we have again another ya sound, Australia. The li again, like in million, says the ya sound, Australia. Second syllable stress, Australia. So I want to lengthen on trail and be shorter and reduced on the first and last syllables in Australia. Thank you for your request. Now we have a request for the word automatically. I do have a video for automatically, so you can check that out for some additional help and details, but we'll break it down. So we have the ah again, like in Australia. AU is often the vowel ah, looks like this in the dictionary, ah. This first T, automatically, is a flap, so it sounds more like a light D sound rather than an aspirated T, auta. This letter O is going to say the sound, vowel schwa, because it's unstressed. We have third syllable stress here, so automa, my vowel a, like in black cat, that's my long and stressed syllable, just like in the name Matt or in the word mad, I'm mad. Automatically. We have another flap T for this other T sound. So again, another light D, automatic. We have our lax I vowel, K sound, C sound, automatically. And lastly, this ending combination is a little bit difficult. Have to be lax on the I, but still tense and clear vowel E on the last syllable, even though it's unstressed. So I do have a number of videos helping you with this combination at the end. like on words like quality, quantity, city. You can check that out. I would write it automatically. Try to have length on that last syllable and be quick and light on the unstressed syllables. Again, I do have a video, I believe, for automatically. When you're on speechmodification.com, you can use the search tools there on the free practice and type in your word to see if I have a video. If you're on my channel page, Speech Modification Seattle, there is a search box on the channel page and you can see which videos I have. Or when you leave a comment or question on any of my videos, I'll send you the direct link to the video that has answers. So for example, for a word like automatically, you might want to look at that particular video with that word, but you might also want to look for flap T if you need help with that, with the vowel sounds. Figuring out what sounds are challenging for you in the word and what other words that have those sounds are challenging can be helpful in improving your overall speech. Looking for those patterns, noticing what are these words that I struggle with have in common, and working on the patterns that those are is going to help you not only on those specific words, but overall on your pronunciation. A lot of my videos and lessons on my website are based on patterns. We all have accent patterns based on our native language, and also just which sounds we struggle with. Maybe it's R sounds, maybe it's flap T, maybe it's vowels. So that's just generally some advice about pronunciation. Okay, let's see. More questions. Let's see. Dana would like to know, she has a question about the word newspaper. Is the news part pronounced with an S rather than a Z due to the influence of paper, newspaper? Yeah, for some reason, instead of newspaper, it turns to newspaper. I think if I were to look in the dictionary, let me do so. I'm looking for where my iPad is so I can look it up in the dictionary. Sorry, I usually have that right here handy. Yes, I think you're correct that newspaper sounds more like noose paper rather than newspaper. But I think I can say newspaper, and be correct, but I think it comes out sounding more like newspaper. And perhaps that is because the P is voiceless, newspaper. If I were to say, for example, the news isn't good, the news isn't, then my Z is more pronounced because I'm linking into a vowel. When I'm just saying, I heard the news that, or that's also voiced. How about I have some news for you. My Z in news becomes a little bit lighter and a little more S-like. So that's probably what's happening here in newspaper, as well as news for you. I'm still using the length on this to have that voice sound, but context does affect sound. So I apologize, I'm not seeing where I have my iPad to help you out to look that up. So I guess I can look it up on my phone. Let's look up in the Oxford Dictionary. I really like to have resources, and for almost everything I'm telling you, obviously when I'm live, I'm speaking from my knowledge, but I think it's really helpful to have, I have the dictionary bookmarked here on my phone. And I think it's good to verify and look for different resources and information, because sometimes even I can not be aware of what my habitual pronunciation is and what errors I might have. Yeah, so it's showing newspaper with the Z sound, but I think you made a clever observation and a good observation that it does often sound more like an S when people are pronouncing it in real speech. Okay, we have a request for the word privacy. Let's take a look at privacy. So privacy starts out just like the word private. We have the first syllable stress and second and third syllables unstressed. The I says its name, so that's the diphthong I would just think about that as letter I, prive. And then the A in this word is a vowel schwa. It sounds like And lastly, my letter C says S and my letter Y says E. So I would rewrite it like this: privacy, privacy. We have a question for fundamental and fundamentally. So when I say fundamental, I have third syllable stress, and it sounds just like fun, men, fundamental. We have kind of a sound, tull. This is really reduced. I almost have no vowel there at all. Fundamental, fundamental. And I say my T with the puff of air, fundamental. But when I say fundamentally, that's challenging. Then I have to I have to do that kind of reduced sound and add another syllable. So fundamentally, that's an fundamentally. In either case, I'm pretty reduced on that A, and it's more of a schwa sound or almost no vowel. As much as I can, I go from the T right to the L, fundamentally. Okay, good questions. And sorry if I'm stumbling on your words. Sometimes I have to break it down and speed back up and find what's challenging about these words. Many of the words that you ask me about are challenging for me to say as well, and it's because of the combination of sounds in the words. And I don't have an accent, but obviously, for example, words with multiple R sounds, with T's and L's, with many syllables, can be challenging to sequence those sounds easily and accurately. Okay, Astra wants to know about the words aloe, algae, aloe and algae. So they both start with the aloe, so that's the vowel like in black cat. And they both have first syllable stress, so long, short. So we have aloe. That has just the diphthong O. I would maybe just write it as aloe or aloe like that. And algae, this is a weird one where the spelling doesn't really match. So that sounds like algae. This J says, this letter G says the J sound. So this sound J, algae. Aloe and algae. Great. Okay. Let's see. Someone is telling me they have a doubt. When they listen, they identify that native speakers remove the TH after an N in words like and then. When it links, sounds like and then. Okay, so she's saying, or he's saying, and then. It's going to end then, and then. I don't think I do that pattern, so I'm not sure if I can help you with that. I think when I'm linking a D to a TH, for example, if I was saying this and that, my THs stay, but what happens here is in my word and, the D is going to mostly drop off. So it might sound more like this and that, where the D sound is not as clear. If I'm saying, so the ND, sometimes I'm going to do a stopped D. So you might be just hearing that if I'm linking from a D to a TH, and that my D sound isn't pronounced, that my D just goes right into the TH sound. I'm trying to think of another example for you. For example, if I was doing did that, my D gets stopped and it doesn't sound like a break. It doesn't sound like did that with two separate tongue positions. We've talked about this in some other classes where I'm going to have my TH in position for the that, did that. And I'm just going to stop the air further back on my tongue and then move right into my TH. That's how I fluently put those two sounds together. If I had to say did that with two separate movements, it interrupts the flow and it's more challenging. So that might be what you're noticing. I think that we do preserve that TH sound, though, at the beginning of those words. Noticing on the becomes ana with schwa in a, when that, okay, so I see your point that for example, yeah, I'll have to listen more closely to some native speakers and see if I can see what you're talking about with the TH dropping. It may be that your ear is perceiving that all of those sounds aren't there and that the TH sounds more stopped, or maybe you aren't hearing the TH, and maybe that is something that we do that I'm not aware of. I'll look into it a little bit more and get back to you. Thanks for pointing that out. I'm always interested to find what types of reductions and linking we actually do in our speech, and I'm still discovering them in my own speech and others over time. Great. Okay, so we have a question for the word unreachable. Unreachable. We have stress on reach there. That sounds like vowel E. Un is just the vowel schwa. Unreach. E. We have, make sure you have a ch sound. That's a forced, quick ch. Unreachable. We go back to a schwa. A bull. And here's our syllabic L sound. So almost no vowel there, going right from the B to the O. Bull in the dark L. Unreachable. You can get help for syllabic L in my syllabic L video and lesson. That's also something we've talked about recently. We were looking at words like symbol and simple. That was just, I think, 2 days ago on our Word of the Day playlist. So that will help you out as well. Questions for the words strip versus stripe. So let's see. A stripe. This is one place where the spelling rules actually help us. The E at the end of stripe tells me that the letter I is going to say its name. So this is the short I vowel, and this one is the diphthong I, strip and stripe. To use them in a sentence, the parking strip had stripes to mark where the cars should park. My shirt has a stripe, and I have a thin strip of paper. Hopefully that helps you with understanding and differentiating those two words. Okay, question about the words flower and flour. Both of these are pronounced the same. So this one, the baking product, and this one, what I grow in my garden, same pronunciation. They both sound like ow. They have the diphthong ow in them. Flow, and then they both have a tight back Americaner, flower. Both have first syllable stress and unstressed on the I would say most people can, this one is a little easier to see, flower, and then that helps you pronounce this one. But this flower is spelled the same as our, which maybe you can pronounce correctly. That's the same as this hour. So OU or OW both say the diphthong ow. Great question. I do have a number of videos showing you other homophones like that, where the spelling is different, the meaning is different, but the pronunciation is the same. Those can be kind of tricky. Great. Question about the word availability. So here we have our itty ending that we had on our other word, where we have a flap T, the vowel I and the sound E. Availability, we have stress on the third to last syllable. So short, 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 long, short, short. Availability. Starts with the letter A, says vowel schwa, sounds like veil. We have the A, long A diphthong in that, avail, bill, ity, availability. Yeah, so the length is on the bill. Good question. I think that's actually one of the words of the day that we did early on in our word of the day series. So you can check that out, a more detailed description of that word if you're interested. We have a request for someone who still has difficulty with the pronunciation of the TH sound. Yeah, that's pretty challenging. I do have a full playlist all about American TH and how to pronounce it. What I'm going to say is that what you may find is you have to go all the way down to just working on the sound by itself and then trying to bring it into some words. For one of my tips that I give my students when we have class is to actually practice the sound using the mirror. I should be able to see my tongue between my teeth when I'm making the sound. So it doesn't have to stick way out, but if it's too far back, I'm not going to have that kind of quality. So I would say starting with the voiceless TH, resting your tongue just gently between the upper and lower teeth and trying to blow air over it. Not even thinking about making the TH sound because that's going to make you make it in your old habitual way, but seeing if I can hold and continue the sound. Because for most people, the tongue position either blocks the air, so then it sounds like, or it's too far back and it sounds like s or z. If I'm resting between my teeth and I can hold it, the air can flow, then I know I have the right tongue position. The other thing I'll suggest is if that's fairly easy for you, or if you can get the to continue, seeing your tongue in the mirror, try it not in words, but with other sounds around it. So trying things like oo, thu, ah, tha, moving in and out of vowel sounds into that TH is going to give you the motor patterning you need to then also begin to be able to say things like think and with and that and breathe. Those are all, you kind of have to build this one up from the fundamentals, and you can see some help for that on my American TH playlist. Also check out the lessons on speechmodification.com for the TH sound that will help you build those skills back from the beginning. I hope that helps you. Okay, we have a request for the word consequences. Let's take a look at that. So we have a lot of words in our playlist that begin with C-O-N. Consequences is an example of where the O-N says ah, con. And it's because it has, one of the reasons is because it has first syllable stress. So that's going to be my long syllable, con. Then I have an unstressed SE, sounds like, it's a vowel schwa, sounds like consequence. My QU is almost always a KW sound in English, quen. I have vowel here, like in red. And then NCE says NS, ens, consequences. And then when it's plural, I have the I and a voiced Z sound, consequences. Long, short, 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 consequences. Yeah, that's a tough word. A lot of letters, a lot of sounds, a lot of syllables. Great, thank you for the suggestion. All right, we have a request for the words ridiculous and regardless. Ridiculous, regardless. So for ridiculous, second syllable stress. Regardless, also second syllable stress. And even though this one is spelled with I and this one is spelled with E, they both have the I sound, like in pink pig, yeah. And here's what CU has our ya sound that we were talking about earlier. I'm going to write it with a Y. ridiculous. I think this is kind of another schwa, ridiculous. Or you could use a little bit of an ih there. It doesn't matter too much in the unstressed syllables. Sometimes I use the ih, sometimes I use the but I need to just be short, and lax, and light on it. Ridiculous, ridiculous. And regardless, again, guard. This G-A-R-D is like the word guard, R. So that's just an and an sound, guardless. And again, my LESS here, even though this one was LOUS and this is LESS, regardless, I'm going to have my sound there because it's unstressed, regardless. Yeah, those are good words. Thank you for the suggestion. Probably challenging for a lot of people. All right, Halim would like to know the words assume and sandwiches. I find myself tempted to make a sentence that has both those in it. I assume you like eating sandwiches. All right, so for assume, again, we have our unstressed first syllable in assume, and our letter A, when it's unstressed at the beginning of words, often is vowel schwa. Think about it like sounding like an instead of anything to do with the letter A. Assume. SS says S, and we have the oo vowel. I'm going to write it with 2 O's. So short, long, assume. Sandwiches, I have first syllable stress and vowel A, like in black cat, and 2 vowel I sounds. And so sand is just like the word sand, which is like the word, these 2 words, which or which, same pronunciation. My I and my CH, and then finally, an is vowel I, sandwiches. Great. Okay. A few more questions, and then we're running out of time. We're going a little long today, but we have some great questions, so I'd like to keep going and make sure I get to everyone's question. If we do have to wrap up before I get to your question, or if you're watching as a replay, I do answer all of the questions that come in comments afterwards and give you links and help for your words and your requests. So feel free to add those even if you're not watching live. Let's see. All right, the next question was for the words thought, though, and you have a typo there, so I don't know if you want taught or tough, but I'll write them both. So we have, the request was for thought, though, and you wrote this, but maybe you meant either tough or you might have meant taught. T-O-U-G-H-T isn't a word. Okay, so for thought, we have the TH sound, vowel ah, and a T. For though, my OU says just O. And for tough, I have the schwa vowel, so it sounds like tough. And for taught, I'm back to my vowel with a T, taught. That's the same as this kind of like a rope is taut, or I taught the class. Good. So yes, knowing what the spelled letters say and what the vowels are can be quite challenging. Sorry, I hope that wasn't off the screen for too long. Learning the vowel symbols, the IPA, can be really helpful. So the A symbol looks like this. The O symbol looks like this. The symbol looks like this. Then I have something to look up in the dictionary to compare to know what the symbol means. I also like using my anchor words. So for thought, I'd say that's the caught law vowel. That helps me because these are 2 of the most frequent spellings for this vowel sound. And OU is also a common spelling for that. For the O, I use no snow because we often spell O with just O or OW. For tough, I use such fun because we often spell that with letter U. So learning more about vowel sounds, spelling versus sounds, can be really helpful. And for that, I recommend my vowels playlist, as well as I have several videos walking you through those vowel anchors and all of the different sounds. I also suggest when you go to speechmodification.com, you can go to my store page, and I have a free download which shows you a symbol system and the anchors for all of the different vowels, as well as what the common spellings are, the most frequent words with those vowels, and help for all of the different sounds. So this is available as a free download on my store page, and I have several lessons explaining how to use these sounds. But I think that's really helpful, in particular when you're trying to figure out what vowel sound is in a word and how to pronounce it correctly. So that's on speechmodification.com. Okay, I'm going to have to wrap up because we're going a little too long today. I see we have some great additional questions, so I'll try to answer those for you after class in the comments. Thanks so much for your participation today and for asking all the wonderful questions. And if I didn't get to your question today, please come back again next Friday. We'll be back again at 12 o'clock Seattle time, 3 o'clock Eastern time, taking your questions live about American English pronunciation and American accent. I'll be back again tomorrow with our Word of the Day series, and we'll be talking about some new words every day for the next few days. So thank you for the suggestions and for being a wonderful class. I really enjoy working with you all. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound American, you can do it. speechmodification.com.